Well, it really didn't hit me till, I called my wife and my parents. That's when I really broke down. But it was almost like a sense of relief, like all the hard work had paid off and the persevering. And um, I mean, it was probably one of the most exciting days of my baseball life.
You walk in from the bullpen to face the Oakland A's. What's going through your mind during that period between bullpen and pitcher's mound?
I was trying to keep it all together, 40,000 people there. But, my arm was loose and everything, so you're just trying to keep the nerves to a minimum, which is hard to do. The second and third tier of the Coliseum can be, make it feel like it's right on top of you, all the fans. And you get to the mound, and I get the ball from Mike Scioscia, and it's kind of like, this is go time. And throw your warm-up pitches, and the nerves really don't go away to where you can kind of focus and try to get control of yourself until you throw that first pitch live. So
what goes through your mind after that first pitch has been released from your fingertips?
I want to say, like a sense of I did it, and that, now it's time to focus and get this guy out. We're in a major league game here, and we're trying to catch the Oakland A's, in late May, early June, and I got to get this guy out, strand these runners.
When you take a look back at the guys that you faced, I mean, that's kind of a murderer's row for that athletics lineup for a guy making his major league debut, later in the game against some guys that are all-stars.
Yeah, I ended up only facing the meat of their order, the three guys that made the All-Star team for him, and the one guy facing got out happened to win the AL MVP this year. So, I look back at it, it was an accomplishment, but looking forward to getting more guys out like that.
How long did you stick around after that debut on the roster? Was it 2 days?
2 more days. Josh Hamilton came off his rehab assignment earlier than expected, and I was kind of the guy at the bottom of the roster at the time, so I got optioned down to AAA to make a spot for Josh Hamilton's return.
What went through your mind when that process was happening, or what were you thinking about? Like, did you think you'd be back up pretty soon? Or?
I did. Talking with Scioscia, they really liked me. They liked my stuff. They compared my stuff to some guys that had some great success at the big league level, sinker, slider combo type guys. And they made it seem like I was going to be back up, but, things happen, and the Angels made 4 pretty deep reliever trades after that and kind of bumped me down the totem pole of the depth chart, so it didn't, happen to get back up that season.
After the season, were you able to take a look back and say, okay, that was pretty cool? Or was it a situation where you got a little taste, it's like an appetizer, you're hungry for the whole meal now?
It was like I got a little taste of it. I wanted more. It really didn't hit me until I went back to AAA, and we do charts on our non-starting days in the stands with all the scouts. And a couple scouts that had known me, followed me around for years, came up to me and they're like, "Hey, congratulations! You did it. You're a major league, baseball player for the rest of your life. Small company." And he said, "How many people do you think have made it to the major leagues?" And I didn't know. I was like, I don't know, like 200,000-300,000. And he laughed at me and he goes, 18,800 or something was the number at the time. And I was like, wow, that's a very small number of people. And I felt really proud just to even get the opportunity to go up there, because what if I never got the opportunity? So that was kind of a relief that no matter what had happened, I had made it to the major leagues, my dream.
Do you feel like you had pitched 11 seasons in the minor leagues. Do you feel like at that moment, or retrospectively looking at that moment, that it had paid off?
Yeah, just to make it up there at all. There's horror stories of guys I knew that had been called up on a doubleheader game day as the 26th man on the roster, and never got to pitch, and then were sent down, and they've never made it up. And you don't like hearing things like that. So to go up there for the limited time I was up there and get in the game, I'm very grateful for that. So looking back, it was well worth it.
How does that fuel you to get back? I mean, obviously, you're still working with the ultimate goal to be pitching in the major leagues on a more regular basis.
Yeah, I actually thought this year I put myself in a pretty good position. I think what worked against me was going so far into the playoffs with our team and then winning our AAA league. And there was only like 8 days left in the major league season at that point. They're not going to make a lot of roster moves for guys. There wasn't a lot of injuries either within the starting pitchers, and they were pretty deep. So I'm just trying to put myself in a position to be ready this year, and it would be nice to make it to the major leagues with multiple teams.
Do you look at your career as a case of perseverance at this point? I mean, as a case of, man, if I just keep chipping away, keep chipping away, keep chipping away, keep working at it, it's going to pay off? I mean, it already has to a certain degree.
There was a lot of days I never thought I was going to get there. And then there's other years I had, my first year in AA where I made the All-Star team and went to the Arizona Fall League after that I thought I was very close, and it didn't happen. It's a tough sport to crack because there's so many levels. You have to prove yourself and to get to that elite level. And I would say perseverance is probably the big word I take from my career. Not giving up, and maybe adapting and just trying to improve year to year.
Do you ever look back at the guy who grew up in Corona, went to DeKalb High School, not necessarily from this big baseball factory like some of these guys are with IMG Academy, all that kind of stuff, and think, man, I've made it a long way?
I really do. From where I was born and grew up and raised, and how I went through all those processes to get to become a major league pitcher, I look back on that and say, wow, I've came a long, great distance and done a lot of things and had to fail a lot along the way to have those successes to make it. But yeah, it was definitely a long journey.
When you take a look at this last year, 2015, you pitched on a number of different continents, a number of different situations. I mean, just go through what your year was like in 2015 and how it kind of came about, because just looking at it on paper is like a whirlwind.
It all started out, with the agent saying, hey, we've got, multiple teams interested, no big league camp invite, go to minor league camp, and there's really no guarantee for anything. So I didn't really know what I was going to do, just kind of playing the waiting game and training. And he said, hey, I got this team from Mexico. It's probably the only team I want you to go to. They're in Cancun, and which would be a pretty nice place to go play. And, they want to give you a couple-month guarantee and an out to where if a team in the United States wants to sign you, they'll let you leave that day. And I said, well, that sounds like a pretty good deal. And so I did that, and then ended up getting signed out of Mexico to Cleveland and sent to Columbus, and through there for multiple months. And I signed a contract in late August to play winter ball in the Dominican, which I did. And at the time around the playoffs for my AAA team, I got an invite to play for Team USA. So that was in Taiwan, and we ended up making the Final Four out of the 12 teams, and we went on to Japan. So I pretty much went Mexico to the United States, got to spend time with my family and friends, got to see me pitch, back to Dominican, and then to Taiwan and Japan, and finally back here. So it was a season to remember.
What was it like putting on that Team USA hat, putting on that Team USA jersey, representing your country against, teams like Japanese All-Stars, great players in Taiwan, all those guys? What was it like to represent Team USA?
It's a feeling unlike anything you can really explain to somebody. You get the Team USA jersey and the things they give you, the bag to carry all your equipment, your shorts, your T-shirts, and all this stuff, and you put that USA stuff on, and it was something very special to me. It was quite a unique experience, just a great group of guys, and you know, I was very grateful to get that opportunity.
So a non-roster invitation, but a roster invitation, but an invitation nonetheless, to Major League Camp with the Indians. What are you doing to prepare for that, and how do you plan to seize that opportunity? And is it Goodyear?
Goodyear, in Goodyear. About 5 weeks out from having to report pitchers and catchers. Right now, I'm just trying to gain strength, and then I do like an underweighted, overweighted ball program, so I can strengthen my shoulder, and then with the lighter balls, I can try to gain some speed. So I'm looking to get back to that 90-95 range. I was pitching with my fastball a couple years ago, and last few years I've been more of an 88-92 guy, and I think that added velo will really kind of set me up in spring training to get guys to look at me a little bit deeper, and then, you know, look at the stuff, which is ultimately what they grade you out on, and just put myself in a good position to have a solid base for the season and wait for an opportunity wherever it presents itself.
Back in, I'm going to rewind a little bit, May 31st, 2014. When you're facing Cespedes, when that ball came out of your hand, did you think, ooh, that was a good one? Because guys will talk about, I wish I had one back. But when you're facing, you know, a guy that's MVP caliber, I mean, sometimes they hit good pitches.
Well, looking back on it, I didn't really know the scouting report and the ins and outs of everybody. I had just got up there, and I was on like an hour of sleep, and I got the news pretty late the night before and had to travel. And it was supposed to be a 2-0 curveball, which I threw, so I'm thinking, oh, he just called a curveball, you know, I'd throw it for a strike. You know, he's probably going to take it. So I just throw get me over curveball, make sure it's a strike, and the guy hits it down the left field line. And, you know, after the game, I found out I was supposed to bounce that pitch, which is a little bit unheard of to me.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Throwing a 2-0 curveball in the dirt as a ball, because if he doesn't swing, you look pretty stupid. Looking back on it, I probably should have just stuck with a nice little fastball away, because in that situation, he's probably not looking to drive the ball the opposite field. But you live and you learn, and, you know, if I get another opportunity, I'm definitely going to make the most of it.
Final question. I know I kind of asked it in a roundabout way, but you're a guy that grew up, I think you said, what, 200 odd people in the town, a pig farm. If you could encapsulate your story, what would it be?
Just a normal kid, grew up on a farm and a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, really, in a small town, and you know, saw his dream come to fruition. So for me, it would ultimately probably be, you know, I made my dream come true when other people said it was impossible.
And I imagine you still want more.
Yeah, I do. I'm probably winding down, but at the same time, I definitely want to, you know, kind of prove to myself that I can make it to the major leagues with multiple teams, and maybe get a little bit more of a sample size and have some success, and just to really put the icing on the cake.
Anything else? We're good? All right. Anything else you want to add?
Oh, that's good.
All right.
Real good.
We'll grab the microphone.